The last 2 tours we did a tour in Europe and a tour in the States for the Wretched Spawn. Jack was just more by himself than ever before.
For a few years we've been noticing Jack getting a little bit more and more like withdrawn from the rest of us. He didn't really hang out with us after the shows anymore. Like the rest of us would hang out in the back lounge and be listening to music and stuff, and Jack would just kind of go in his bunk.
Nobody talked to him, nobody saw him. Obviously he was up on stage doing his job and all that, but for the most part during the day he was gone. He would go in his bunk. I mean, there was just no interaction with the guy at all.
On stage he was definitely becoming less and less enthusiastic. You can see it in some of the shows.
It just felt like something more so was wrong, like, you know, he didn't want to be here. Jack had his side band going adrift at this time already, and nobody cares. Anybody can do what they want. Obviously Cannibal has got to come first kind of a thing, and do anything you want around that, that's fine.
We had a bunch of shows booked in Mexico, and his band Adrift had ended up booking a show in LA that was supposed to be a showcase for some label people, and that was going to conflict with the shows we had in Mexico.
The promoter writes me, you know, from Mexico going, yeah, what's going on? I see Jack's other band is going to be out and playing a show out in LA when we're supposed to be in Mexico.
I emailed Jack about it, actually. I'm like, dude, what's up? Hey, check this out. I showed him the article that I'd found online. I said, we were going to Mexico at that time. And then he wrote me back. He's like, man, yeah, I think it might be time for me to leave, man. I just want to try something different.
He didn't want to go to Mexico. He wanted to do his Adrift thing and go there, so he opted to quit at that point right there.
It wasn't even like Adrift being the reason I quit. It was just moving on.
Didn't come as a shock that he quit. I think we all saw it coming.
Given how Jack felt at that time, he probably made the right decision to leave.
You're unhappy with your situation, well, it's better, I think, for everybody. You know, it was better for him to leave, and it was better for us to get a guy that, you know, that wants to kind of be here.
Looking back, it was kind of dumb, but it wasn't for disliking the music, it wasn't for disliking the guys, because I see them all the time. Still like a brotherhood.
I mean, said we'd left them with no animosity, we parted ways like that, you know, so it wasn't any bad blood. So when we do see him, it's just like, you know, it's almost like like he's still part of the band. It's just, hey, Jack, what's up? You know, just joke around like, you know, like I just saw him on tour last week or, you know, whatever.
6 months after I quit, Deicide had problems with their 2 guitar players, so I wasn't really doing too much. So it was a no-brainer to just jump on tour with them, and eventually joined the band, do an album and another album.
To show his coolness, when you go from Cannibal into something like Deicide, and he's made Deicide better, you know, they're the best they've ever been, I think.
You know, people think it's like, oh, fuck, that's metal, I quit. That was what they thought I did. But, you know, then to join Deicide, they're like, dude, I thought you said you hated death metal. And I'm like, no, I never said that. Just said I had to get away.